say about this and check this out.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson, and it looks like Marvel Studios has a lot of plans up their sleeves as far as what is going to happen in Phase 5, Phase 6, and Phase 7. There are a lot of new reports out there today, including when to expect some specific Marvel trailers, which of course we'll talk about in this video, but perhaps the biggest rumor right now is that Marvel Studios is considering making Avengers Secret Wars into 2 films. And no, I am not talking about the Kang Dynasty being part 1 and then Avengers Secret Wars being part 2. I'm talking about having the Kang Dynasty and then Secret Wars part 1 and Secret Wars Part 2. Now, remember originally when Marvel revealed Avengers Infinity War, it was supposed to be, at first, Part 1 and then Part 2, but then they went on to name Avengers 4, aka Avengers Infinity War Part 2, Avengers Endgame, even though they told us it wasn't Avengers Endgame, and then it was. So we could be getting another movie, a Part 2 of Secret Wars, which I think might actually be a good idea, and I'll explain why in this video, but I'm curious right away to hear what you think. Would you like a Part 1 and a Part 2, or would you simply just like the Kang Dynasty and just one movie for Avengers Secret Wars? Let us know right now in the comments. Now, there is good and bad to this. I think mostly good, but of course, everybody can complain about something. If you have 2 movies, this leaves more room for error. There's more room for scenes that just might not be that good. Now, the hype for Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame was insane. These were some of the biggest movie events of all time, and I'm hoping that it's going to be the same for the Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars, especially if we have a Part 1 and Part 2. However, if we do a Part 1 and Part 2 for Secret Wars, that's really a 3-movie event. The Kang Dynasty and the 2 Secret Wars films. They'll all be connected, and it will kind of seem like a 3-part event, which can be a little bit too much for people. However, I do think that this actually is going to be a good thing. And the reason is because we actually have a few projects in between the Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars. Now, let's face it, we pretty much know that at the end of the Kang Dynasty, the Avengers aren't going to win. It's very much going to be like Thanos winning at the end of Avengers Infinity War. Actually, based off of what we know, this is going to happen, and the Avengers are then going to have to seek the help from other heroes in other universes to help save not only their universe, but the entire multiverse. And that's why we get Secret Wars after that. And there's a lot that can go into this. If you caught my video yesterday, you probably know that the Council of Kangs is most likely going to be coming to the MCU. So it's more than likely that we're going to have to deal with not just one Kang, but multiple Kangs in Secret Wars. But this actually ties into why I think a 2-part movie would be better, because we could fit more in without it feeling very cramped. This also allows more room and more time for Marvel Studios to include the X-Men. Right now, we know that Kevin Feige is taking his time with the X-Men. The Fantastic Four are going to be coming in Phase 6. Of course, that is confirmed, but the X-Men have nothing confirmed yet. Yes, there have been teases of them in the MCU so far, like with Ms. Marvel and Namor, but as far as an actual X-Men team with the members that we know and love, like Professor Xavier, Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, the more traditional X-Men, as far as we're concerned, that's not really going to happen until Phase 7. However, having a Secret Wars Part 1 and Part 2 could change that. Now, I'm assuming that Part 1 and Part 2 would be decently spaced, maybe a year apart, and that would be another downfall. We would have to wait a year or so until we get the final conclusion of the multiverse saga. So this would essentially push back the multiverse saga a year, except it's not really pushing it back, it's just extending it. And during that year extension, they can add to the story and add more heroes. We know Kevin Feige is taking his time with the X-Men because he wants them to be fantastic, of course. Kevin Feige has been eyeing the Fantastic Four for a very long time. They are his pride and joy, so he has been preparing for the Fantastic Four for a very long time. So his plans for them are most likely all in order. However, the X-Men are completely different. And it's not just a team of 4, there are so many X-Men characters. But having a Secret Wars allows him to include some new characters in the MCU sooner rather than later, not having to wait till Phase 7. So that is a pretty big positive of having a Secret Wars Part 1 and a Part 2, and I'm always for having more Marvel. Even if we have to wait another year to get a final conclusion, I'm okay because I'm here for the ride. This could also give it the potential to be the biggest movie of all time if done correctly. The multiverse has to be explained in a way that is easy for the general public to understand, the people who aren't on YouTube every day like us. If they do that, Secret Wars Part 1, or just Secret Wars in general if they don't do 2 parts, could be literally insane for people. But let's say they do a Part 1 and a Part 2, and Secret Wars Part 1 is just phenomenal. And then you tease even more to come in the next film, even more different characters like the X-Men. Say we have Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in Part 1, and then we tease another Wolverine, say in the post-credit, coming in Part 2. That would just blow everybody's minds. It would definitely get everybody super excited and ready to go into the next movie, Part 2. Or 2 variants of Ryan Reynolds talking to each other, hashing it out, bickering and bantering back and forth with each other in their super sarcastic way. This would freak everybody out, and people would just be so gung-ho about it. And that's an advantage that you could get with having a Part 1 and a Part 2. Plus, remember, Avengers Infinity War didn't have everybody together in one big scene the entire movie. In fact, most of Infinity War, they were broken off into their groups. Then in Endgame, after the portal scene, they all came together for that final scene. 45 minutes of awesomeness. Well, imagine if we got more than 45 minutes of everybody coming together from each different multiverse. Because I'm assuming that we are going to show separate universes fighting on their own. So different Avengers teams, different Fantastic Fours, but then we're also going to see them come together as well. Having a Part 1 and Part 2 gives us more time to do this properly and not feel rushed. Kind of like in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, we thought we were going to explore many different universes, but they kind of really didn't. It was done super briefly, and we really only explored 2, kind of 3 different universes. Well, this makes it to where it doesn't have to be rushed like that. Overall, I think having a Part 1 and Part 2 would be a great idea because it would give us more time, and Marvel Studios could do more and introduce new characters without it being super overwhelming. But again, like I said, let me know your thoughts about this down below in the comments. Now, we do have some trailers coming up, including what is said to be the first trailer for The Marvels, where hopefully we're going to start to see how Kamala Khan's bangle is connected to Captain Marvel and how that's connected to Kang. And of course, also the 10 Rings as well. In the post-credit scene for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 10 Rings, Captain Marvel got a distress signal and had to go. I'm curious to see what this was about, and maybe we'll get a little tease of what it was about in the first teaser trailer. Now, this should be coming during the Super Bowl. We talked about this before, but now some more reports and some insiders are stating that they've heard that this is indeed true. And of course, alongside of that, since these movies are coming before, we're supposed to get a special look at Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and then a new trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, Marvel Studios seems to have some pretty big plans for the Super Bowl. Plus, not to mention, we could be getting some teasers for Loki Season 2 and Secret Invasion as well. But, well, you know, this is kind of one of those perks of Disney owning a lot. Marvel Studios gets the time slots that they need during the Super Bowl to show basically whatever they want. And I'm here for it because I always love more Marvel content. So let me know how excited you all are in the comments down below. And of course, let us know what you think about this idea for a Part 1 and a Part 2 of Secret Wars. Be sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news and what's happening. Of course, you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.
Please subscribe, like this video. Have a great night, and see you guys. Bye.